Welcome back to Swordman Josh Gaming, and another day of quarantine and something that I've been working on for the last couple of days. So yesterday I did my OG Black Pauper deck. Before that I did a Mill deck, but before that I did a Fog Mill Creatureless deck. And it got me thinking, could I make another Pauper Creatureless deck? So I started looking around, started looking through my cards, and I had one card that came up that inspired me. And stream of thought. I thought maybe if I could loop this, of course we know I love mill, so I was looking for a mill strategy also. If I could loop this constantly, then I could use it as a win con. So I went over to MTG Assist and I looked to see if there was anything else that had this type of text about being able to shuffle cards from your graveyard back into your library at common level. And lo and behold, there's actually a counter spell that does that. And I happen to have some of those sitting around too, and that's Devious Cover Up. So not only does Devious Cover Up do the shuffle effect, but it counters the spell, and if it's countered, it's exiled, which is all fine and dandy. Now, had to start working around that thought process and seeing what I could do to control the board and what I had sitting around my house. So to assist the mill strategy, which right now I'm running 4 Stream of Thought, there's one other card in here that is a mill card, and you guys will be familiar with this one from my original mill deck, and that's Curse of the Bloody Tome. I happen to have one more of these sitting around. There's one copy of this in the deck just to try to assist with the mill strategy. Then I started looking into what else I could use to card draw and control the board. So what I came up with was, I know that Bogles is hot and one of the things that people like to play. So the first thing I looked at was trying not to target the creature, but target the person. Because I don't think there's anything that I know of at Pauper level that can make a person hexproof. All of that stuff is an uncommon planeswalker with, the white one from War of the Spark. 1 white, 3 colorless, you gain... I guess it's not hexproof. There's one from War of the Spark. I know there is. I'm about 95% sure. And then, of course, there are other white effects at the rare level that give you hexproof. So I wasn't too worried about that. But to make it so that way my opponents had to sacrifice creatures, I'm running 2 Chainer's Edict, which is at sorcery speed, but it has flashback for 7. So, target player sacrifices a creature. Now, at instant speed, I'm running 3 copies of Diabolic Edict. On top of being able to play those, I'm running 2 more instant speed removal. So, this one's from from Theros Beyond Death. And I started thinking about my own Fog Mill deck, and if I ran across one of those, what could I do to get rid of enchantments? Well, while I was looking through cards, I saw this one, where it's one more than, our other 2 friends, Diabolic Edict and Chainer's Edict, but it allows me to make an opponent sacrifice an enchantment. So this gets around a lot of things that I was worried about if I ran across a Fog Mill deck or something that was enchantment heavy, or if somebody's playing an enchant. I don't know if there's an enchantment Pauper deck or not, but this would help get around that as well. So I'm running 2 copies of Parika's Libation. And then for targeted removal, if we can use it, I'm running 2 copies of Doomblade, which only works against non-black, which is the reason I'm only running 2 copies, but it works. Now, in terms of being able to protect ourselves even more, we are running 2 copies of either Spellbomb, because it can bounce a creature, but it also serves as card draw. And we're running 1 copy of Capsize, which is bouncing any permanent with a buyback. So I just put our card draw, alright? So that way we can get through things quickly. We are running 4 copies of Accumulated Knowledge, 4 copies of Brainstorm, This allows us to get through our deck quickly. Now also, on top of this, both Aether Spellbomb and Nihil Spellbomb both allow us to draw cards. So that's 12 card draw equivalents in this deck. There are 6, 7, 8, 9 creature type sacrifice effects in this deck. On top of that, we are running 2 copies of Prohibit for early game before we can get to Devious Cover-Up, and it also works in late game as well, because this has to do with the CMC of the spell, not the power or toughness or of the creature. So it won't get a Gurumog Angler, but it'll get most things later in the game with the kicker cost. So we're running 2 Prohibits as counterspells for early game before we can cast our Devious Cover-Ups. Now that we've taken care of their creatures and we have taken care of being able to take care of their deck, I started trying to see if there was anything else that I could fill in, and I came across putting in a couple copies of Wrench Mind to destroy their hand as well, so they can't start harboring cards in their hand, play them all out on one turn, and then go to town on us. So it's just target player discards 2 cards unless they discard an artifact card. Running 2 copies of that. So now we have Library Destruction, Onboard Creature Destruction, Targeted Destruction. We have Hand Destruction. And then the only other card in here that we haven't talked about is from my Mystery Booster, I happen to open 1 copy of Mystical Teachings. I am running 22 instants in this deck. This allows me to go get an instant card or a card with flash and put it in my hand. So it's a tutor card to go get any of my instant cards to be able to answer a threat. It also has flashback for 6. I know that there's a lot of teachings decks out there where you can go like teachings into teachings. I don't know. There's a combo there. I forget what it is. I'm not running it. I'm just running this as a 1 copy of a tutor. And then I am running for ramp, and to help against aggro decks, I am running 2 copies of Pristine Talisman. So it's ramp. A lot of stuff. This stuff in here requires a colorless mana, so it just allows us to constantly gain life. Now, what am I doing to make this deck run? Well, the mana base is very simple, but it's not really where I would want it be. This is a very mana-hungry deck, but after it gets up and running, it should be good. I only have 1 copy of Dimir Aqueduct. This is where I'd like to really have 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 copies of this in this deck, just because it will help in the long run make this deck run. Because not only does Stream of Thought have the recycle effect, it also has a replicate effect. So for 2 blue and 2 colorless, you can replicate Stream of Thought as many times as you want to, and it copies the spells. So then instead of just milling somebody for 4, you can mill them for 8 or 12 before you refresh Stream of Thought back into your deck and be able to have to not wait so long to go get it. But I only happen to have 1 copy of Dimir Aqueduct. Also, to make this deck run, we are running 4 copies of Dimir Guildgate and 4 copies of Dismal Backwater. They just come into play. Both of them come into play tapped. Dismal Backwater just gains its life when it does it. And then we are running 8 islands and 6 swamps. That's the deck. This is Creatureless Dimir Control. And I did go out and start looking to see if there were other decks like it. There are a lot of Dimir Creatureless decks. Well, not a lot. There are some Dimir Creatureless decks, but a lot of them weren't running in this way. So this is kind of my take on a Dimir Creatureless Pauper deck, and I hope you guys like it. I can't wait to play it out. It's really hard to goldfish a deck that's built around interactions. So hopefully I'll get to play this one this weekend with family and see how it reacts, and then try to make it better. Obviously, I can't. There is a Since this is Creatureless, when I started looking into this, there is a Black Edict effect. That's 1 black mana. I forget the name of it. But it's each opponent sacrifices a creature. But since you're running Creatureless, you don't care. That would be the first big upgrade to get rid of these Diabolic Edicts and go to 3 copies of that instead. But this is where I'm running. Like I said, we have 12 card draw. We have 9 creature removal. We have 6 counter spells. We have 4 cards to get rid of their library, 2 cards to get rid of their hand, and a couple cards up here to gain life, and 1 tutor. So that's the deck. Well, actually 5 cards to get rid of their library. And I hope you like it. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you change. If you guys know what that black 1 drop is, that's equivalent to Diabolic Edict, but it's for both people, for everybody at the table, let me know so I don't have to go look it up. And I hope everybody has a great weekend, and I will talk to you all later. And may Keep Calm Kitty be with you. Have a good time, everybody. Bye.